All right, so they wanted me to make a video explaining what's going on. I put it in writing on Facebook and I sent out emails about it, but apparently that's not going to reach enough people. So, in the case of Egypt, they told the Pharaoh what was coming, and then they did a lot of irrational stuff. They didn't take it out on Pharaoh, they took it out on the people, okay, who really, they weren't even the ones who were going to be able to get the slaves released. So, what I'm saying is that the reason that they did this was because of the complexity and the amount of rules and laws that were being rolled out by Moses. And so, with the case of what's going on right now, there are a lot of big changes coming. That's for sure. I mean, nobody's not saying that, but what I'm saying is that I believe, as well, the number and the amount of constitutional amendments that me and the aliens have come up with. Okay? And they intend to implement these things. All right. So, okay. So, what I'm saying is that they had me send out emails, videos to the mainstream media saying things like, so I would do videos where I would sit there and listen for them to talk, because they just talk all the time. Okay. And then, so the people watching could see it register in my eyes, whatever I'm saying. And then I was just going to share it with, I've got mainstream media people on my mailing list, and it's just, they can't really do anything about what I'm saying, in my opinion anyways. But I send out stuff to a lot of different people. It's just so crazy what's going on. It's just, everybody needs to know what's going on. But the point of the story is this, that I just felt like, it would be interesting for them to see. Well, here's what they decided to say, stuff like this. And I was just starting to catch up on why they had just been assaulting my mind constantly, which is, there's multiple reasons for it. But one of the reasons is that they were trying to get me to the point of constantly saying I quit in front of everybody. And, I wrote papers about it. I added it to my book. It's online, everything. But the point of it is so that they want to take credit for everything that's going on. And here's what they said, because for one, I was figuring out what was going on. I was explaining it to them, but then as well, and there are alternative media people in there. There's a lot of people in there. But what I'm saying is that I was explaining to them, what was going on, in terms of this is why they're doing this. And so I think that they wanted to go ahead and, there was no denying it, so, they incorporated that into their message. But the message was, piece of shit doesn't have anything to say. And then it was, he isn't what they were looking for. You know what I mean? And it was things like, if they suspect. So, in other words, look, I can't really talk anymore because they've been doing a lot of damage to me. So you're just going to have to deal with that when you watch these videos. But what I'm saying is that they wanted it to be, well, he doesn't have much to say. At the end of the day, we're going to get this to the point where for a fact that he's just doing what we tell him to, and that's it. Because they want credit for everything that's going on. Okay? At the same time, they want me to display anger and stuff because I'm taking over the government, essentially. Not really, but kind of. They're doing it through me, but I'm what people see, So, but when you have somebody if you're looking for somebody who's going to successfully take over the government, and you're looking at history, especially one government after another, then you have to have somebody who inherently is violent tempered, and that's why they talk about that in Psalm 2, talk about, watch out, kings and judges of the world, so it's talking about it talks about the presidents as kings and stuff. So what it's saying is that, at the end of the day, I'm going to have ultimate control over if they don't go along with the Constitution, then I'm going to be pissed. And then they don't know what the fuck's going to happen to them. So that has to be like that, or else they won't listen. You know what I mean? At least in the beginning, Look, nobody's going to want this, and that's part of the reason why they're doing as much crazy shit as they're doing. And I'll tell you as well, they said in the video, repeatedly, if they suspect, this is the people that they're targeting. Okay, so the mainstream media, they're directly connected to the central banks, and those are going straight up to the monarchies, and it's all because of the Federal Reserve and everything like that. It's control of the monetary system. But so what I'm saying is that, what I'm saying is that when they make these messages, they're not hiding anything. You know what I'm saying? And that's the whole point of it. You see what I'm saying? The point of it is to say to the individual, that, oh, hey, here's the deal. I'm actually bringing you to the point of desperation. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not afraid of you. I don't have any reason to be afraid of you. I don't have any, you know what I mean? But the reason that they're doing it is to get us to the point of somehow psychologically that galvanizes the population into saying, oh yeah, I'll accept all this shit. You know what I mean? And it's going to be a whole lot of shit. You know what I mean? And in the case of, Moses and all the crazy, just the intricate stuff that he introduced was, my God, there was so much. The entire book of Leviticus is nothing but just one little fucking rule after another. So I can see a lot of craziness being attached to that. And so I don't really know what their real intentions are, but I think they intend to bring a lot of craziness to the table, to be perfectly clear with you. And they've already done that. Look at me. Every day I'm talking about being assaulted directly by these things. What have I done? You see what I mean? Nothing but what they've told me to. So it's not about, they targeted the innocent in Egypt. You see what I mean? That's what I'm saying. The most innocent really was, but, children, So what I'm saying is that we really don't know what the fuck these things are going to do. And another thing, too, is they're bringing up pizza, everything was pizza before you got here. They want a pretense, like with the slaves, right? The pretense, the justification for all of this irrational anger that really is there inside of us, but I don't know. I don't understand it fully, but my take on it is just there must be something crazy inside of us. You know what I mean? That I guess towards some of this shit, and they're gonna get and tap into all of it. And so another thing is to as far as the no, I don't think I was gonna say anything else. Yeah, that's it. Oh yeah. Yeah. So yeah, what I was gonna say is that they're looking for the most egregious thing. You know what I mean? This, and they also said something about screw your 2 cents. Had me say that. So in other words, dismissing me, taking the credibility, taking, I'm not even going. He won't want to do any of it. You'll know by the time that I'm even goddamn. You'll know for a fact. I don't know what they're getting up to a lot. It's not just that. they're taking me to the point of, oh my God, the shit they did to me last night. I was laying there and I had seen this coming. I knew I was like, oh, they're going to bring me all the way to the point of, but, yeah, and I saw myself and I was like, in my head, I was like, oh, I can find some way out of this. It had me surrounded in my own mind. And, I was sitting there and all of a sudden I saw myself just sitting there like this, like in a suit or something, and all of a sudden just inverted upside down. It was almost like and then they made me see, that went totally quiet. It was like almost like a Hindu image or something, and it was, I had it was crossed down the center and down the sides like that. And it just started rotating. And they go, I fucked your life worse than you can ever possibly imagine. And and I was like, holy shit. And then I was like, I'm fucked. You know what I mean? Like, that was the only thought in my head. You know what I mean? And I know they're going to do that, you know what I mean, to get credit. But the other side of it is they're showing how irrational they can be. Do you understand? And they're using the justification of what they're doing to these kids with this whole Pizzagate shit, which is fucking crazy. Hey, let me tell you what they're doing to these kids. There's no hiding what they try to hide it, but they're going to use all of that. The fact that they tried to hide it, what is actually the content of it, organized kidnapping, and oh my God, it's just hard to believe that this is really going on. I know that there's a lot of kidnappings, that are reported every year, but a lot of them are just, the kid let. I mean, there's so many. It's like, and then I think somebody said the majority of them is the kid was gone for 6 hours. The parents didn't know where it was. They called the police. You know what I mean? But the evidence says that they're taking these kids and they take them to a warehouse where all the tunnels converge directly underneath, and they feed them up through the bottom. And James Alefantis owns it. He had on his Instagram page a picture of a freezer room with the caption "Murder Room," and it's just, his pizza restaurant had the symbol of the triangle going in on itself, the symbol of pedophilia, and something screwed up about, I think, kidnapping kids or something. I don't know, you can see it in the fucking documentary, but the point of it is just, if you think about this, they're not, I mean, yeah, they're targeting the drug war for justification, but now it looks like they're targeting that. And they did a lot of that in California. A hell of a lot. Pizza was just, it was all about pizza the whole fucking time, man. And it got real weird too. At some point they were talking about, oh yeah, they've gotta have sex, they gotta do that to the kids so then they can get off sexually and make babies. They said this, which was traumatizing for me, but it didn't make any sense. But I don't think anything's going to make any sense right now. It's not that they're saying it's okay. It's that I believe that what they're saying is that they want me to say, okay, well, if you say to let them go, then they want to bring me all the way to the point of being like, just whatever the fuck you want. You know what I mean? They're not going to let those people go. You understand? But when whatever happens to him, they want everybody to know that he personally had no input on that. We wouldn't even let him have any input on that. And you can believe what you want, but they're going to have it in your head by the time it's all said and done. And another thing, as far as all that's concerned, no, I would not personally let that happen, but just when I just put my foot down, I could feel it. They just assaulted me right there. They just did it again. The point of it is that what they're saying right now is that they want all the credit. Oh, and they're not going to let those people go. Mm-hmm. But no, it's they are going to. Who knows what they're going to do? I think the last thing they're going to do is let him go, but who knows? Maybe they will. But at the end of the day, all I'm saying is that, you know, most likely that's not going to happen. But what I'm saying is that they're using that. They're looking straight at that. You know what I mean? Which, here's what I'm trying to say. They're pointing at that as justification, and they're bringing in a huge overhaul of the government at the same time. God. So what I'm saying is that it's just everything they've done is so irrational to me personally, and then continually what they did to me, especially in California. God, it was so crazy. I've just been brutally assaulted for a long time. And I don't have any illusions about, you know, it stopping. My main thing is just mentally preparing myself for literally anything. Because it's so fucking crazy, the situation that we're in right now, to be perfectly honest. It's just not good, you know? And it's, you know, I would say that it's just shocking to me the people that are getting sucked into this. You know what I mean? Just random people. You know what I mean? Like my cousin. They had me, you know, say, you're a disciple, you know, but then he didn't come by to help me hang my television. I was making videos where you could see the boxes and shit in the background. And so they go, oh, okay, well, he chose not to be a disciple. You know what I mean? Because they're showing irrationality right now. You know, it's not that, you know, they're basically saying, you know, when you get irrational and you're mad at one person, you may go and fuck somebody else up just to fuck with them. You know what I mean? Or you know, like if it's just, you know, it's like, well, how do you like that? You know what I'm saying? You know, saying that to imagine saying that to you know, the Illuminati. Well, how do you like what I did to his cousin? You know what I mean? That doesn't even make any sense. You know what I mean? Oh, God. But that's the point. That's the point. Who knows what's going to happen next, man? So, but anyways, you know. Anyways, so we'll see how it goes.